Hey guys, John here from Bring the SEO. Today I want to talk quickly about niche edits. Now, I don't know, I'm not quite sure why, but there's been a little bit of talk in the SEO community lately around niche edits. I'm not going to make any assumptions here. For those of us who have been working in the SEO industry for quite some time, we all know what niche edits are. But for those who don't, niche edits are essentially where you can go about acquiring or obtaining a backlink on an existing page. Now, the thinking behind doing this, there's a number of reasons why SEOs are attracted to niche edits, and I'll go through those points real quick. Firstly, rather than having to create a piece of content and go through the whole process of, figuring out content length and the topic and the tone and communicating back and forth with the site owner, which is fairly typical when it comes to prospecting and outreach. You don't need to do any of that. You simply contact a site owner and you ask them to insert a link in an existing page. So not only do you bypass the work and time around involved in terms of creating a piece of content, but you fast track the entire process, which of course means you save a great deal of time. Now, the thinking behind this is that by doing that, you can plug into an aged piece of content. And typically speaking, and of course you'd be selective throughout the entire process, typically speaking, an aged page or piece of content on a site that's relevant, of course, should have built, there should be a greater level of trust, potentially a greater domain authority or higher domain authority, which is great, but also link equity to the page. And this is, of course, the whole reason why we build links, right? Because we want to channel link equity to target pages in an effort to rank them higher in Google. So that has always been the thinking behind niche edits. It's faster. You can get a link in a more desirable location, let's say, rather than publishing a piece of content that perhaps goes on a site that doesn't necessarily have domain authority. Look, I can get into a whole host of reasons why it's beneficial, or at least it's thought to be beneficial. I think the other reason, or the other thing that I probably should mention, is that when you go about publishing a new piece of content and with the link inserted into it, there may not necessarily be any link equity to that page. Well, it shouldn't be, right? Because it's a brand new publication, which brings me back to my point around being able to plug into an aged piece of content that potentially carries a greater level of link equity. And of course, like I said, that can help us get rankings much, much faster. Now, I want to just preface this before I go any further by saying that this is certainly nothing new. This conversation goes way back. In fact, before shooting this video, I did a little bit of research on the internet, and I could see this conversation way back in 2009, 2008, 2009. It was probably taking place way before then. So niche edits are certainly nothing new, but I think what makes it an interesting topic is the opinions that revolve around niche edits themselves. Are they really that effective? Does link age hold weight? And that's my whole point, right? There are some people that think niche edits or not domain age, but link age holds weight, and it's a contributing factor within the algorithm. And many of those who don't believe that it does. Now, one thing that I should point out here, and this is something that sort of got me thinking about this topic recently, I noticed there was someone, I can't remember where I saw it, but someone said they paid, $380 or something for a niche edit. And that can be fairly typical for niche edits or link insertions, right? A lot of site owners understand the reason why many SEOs are wanting to leverage niche edits for the reasons that I just said, right? It's faster. You can leverage link equity much quicker. You can get results much faster, and so on and so on. So Typically speaking, and not always, niche edits can be far more expensive than, let's say, just publishing a standard guest post with a link inserted in that piece of content. Now, that's all well and good, so long as niche edits actually are actually as effective as what many people believe them to be. Now, there are some that would argue the point, okay, niche edits absolutely work, and they're much more effective than traditional links and new guest posts and whatever else, and I'm not going to argue the point. I'm not saying that niche edits don't work, but what I am asking, and this is the question I want to put forward, right? And this is something that we should all think about and consider. Does link age matter? Right? Backlink age. Is this a contributing factor within Google's algorithm? Now, there's really no way of knowing with absolute certainty, at least none that I'm aware of. But this is something that came up recently, or actually it was about 6 months ago now, within the Yandex algorithm leak, right? I'm sure you all remember this. This is going back about 6 months ago. Now, in that leak, it was mentioned that backlink age was definitely a contributing factor. Now, what does that mean? Well, it probably doesn't mean much at all, given that Yandex has nothing to do with Google, but common sense would suggest that if Yandex thinks that link age should be a contributing factor and it should hold weight, then you would probably assume that Google might be doing something similar, if not something almost identical, right? Now, it does seem to make sense. An aged link, you would think, regardless of the algorithm, you would think that an aged link should hold more weight than a brand new link, especially on a site that a trusted site that has high domain authority, as opposed to links that links that are cycling in and out. Again, I don't know with absolute certainty, and I can only hypothesize and draw conclusions based around assumptions, and it's really anyone's guess. But it does raise the thought, right? It does raise the question: are niche edits really as effective as what everyone makes them out to be? So this is definitely something to consider for those of you who might be who might be spending more chasing niche edits. Have a think about whether or not backlink age is a contributing factor. I haven't tested this. I'd certainly be interested in hearing some of your thoughts around this, but it is a good question to ask, right? Do niche edits hold as much weight as what we all think they do? It's an interesting question. Or does Google simply look at a new link, even on an established page, as being a new link? And how does that impact the effectiveness of how much link equity gets passed to the target page? Definitely something to think about. I've never really spent a great deal of time, I have to say, I've never really spent a great deal of time fussing about with niche edits. I've been able to get great results without them. So, but again, yeah, it's definitely makes for an interesting conversation, and I'm not convinced that niche edits hold as much weight as what we all might like to believe. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.